The Polk County History Center has recently undergone extensive restorations and is now open to the public again. Welcome to the Commissioner's Report. I'm Miles Vance. Joining me today is County Commissioner Becky Troutman, as well as the Historic Preservation Manager for Polk County, Myrtice Young. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Well, Ms. Young, I'd like to start with you. What work was accomplished during these restorations?
It was incredible. There were 104 windows that were completely restored and refurbished. And then the cupola windows, those are the windows up in the dome, there were 7 of those. Those were replaced.
Wonderful. And when we talk about this process of replacing and restoring these windows, this is an intensive process. Talk to me a little bit about how that process worked and what it was like working here when all that construction was going on.
Well, I can say this, as Historic Preservation Manager for the county, it was a highlight of my career to watch the company, Specialized Services, did the work, and to watch just how meticulously they handled every window. Every window was touched many, many times. The sashes were removed. They went to Tampa to their wood shop, cleaned, refurbished. The glass was cleaned, and in the event if the glass was broken, replaced. The wood, though, that was the fascinating part. Watching the craftsmen prepare that wood, it was soft and ripply and really in a bad state of repair. And when they finished the work that they were doing, the wood was perfectly soft, perfectly hard and smooth to receive those sashes back in. Each window had special handcrafted care.
And these windows are original, dating back to what year?
Okay, great question. The structure, the central part of the structure was built in 1908. Wow. So those windows dated to 1908. The west wing and the east wing of the building was added in 1926. Mm-hmm. So all the windows in the building have been here a little while.
About 100 years.
Yeah, nearly 100 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And the interesting thing about it, the windows from, the central part of the windows and the west wing are all wooden. They're wood. Mm-hmm. All of the windows on the east side, all 3 floors, are metal windows. Mm-hmm. So they're different windows.
Interesting.
Very unique. Well, Commissioner Troutman, why was it important that the county invest in replacing the windows on this 100-year-old building? Why is this building such an important symbol?
Well, this building is, unique, and it's the historical center of Polk County. As we're all aware, Polk County is rapidly changing, and I think more than anything, our citizens are looking to preserve that history and to be able to have a place where they can go and review what Polk County has been, and being able to look forward and know that this center will be here to preserve what we've known about Polk County, how we've grown, and what were the instrumental changes or positions that were in the county that have seen that growth coming along.
Absolutely. And how does that tie into the goals of the History Center?
Well, our goals were established really by Florida statute. In 1937, the Florida legislatives at that session established the Polk County Historical Commission. And the commission's requirement by statute is to preserve Polk County's history. And it also mandated that the county provide a repository for the preservation of the history. And then in 1996, the county adopted an ordinance also approving that same language. So what does that mean, the preservation and the collection of history? It means telling the stories, telling the story of our transportation story, industry, Polk County's first people, the pioneering stories. There's so many stories that are important to our beginnings, and that's our mission, is to capture those stories and tell them in different ways through exhibitions, programming, and not only in the building, but also through trails and exhibits that are outside the building, because we have our own story. It's special. Polk County has its very special beginnings, and that as they continue, the story enhances, and we just want to make sure that we comply with that requirement by the state and then by the county to preserve that history.
Absolutely. And then there's so many stories, within this building, and stories of individual people, stories of cities and municipalities, stories of the county, and stories of people who you might not even think about in your daily life. I know you have the canoe that's several thousand years old. I mean, talk about what an incredible story. Commissioner Troutman, why is the History Center as a museum something that's an important asset for the county?
It's an important asset, as Ms. Young said. It tells our story, and Polk County is unique. And if we do not make our conscious effort to keep the stories intact and to keep them alive, we will lose our identity of Polk County. And so it's been wonderful having Myrtice in this position, because you can tell it's a passion of hers, and she takes such pride and responsibility in helping preserve what we know as Polk County.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I know we talked a little bit about some of the exhibits. What else can people learn about here at the History Center?
Well, we are a museum, and we have galleries after galleries of stories of Polk County. But we also have the genealogy and research library. So folks can come in and research their family history. Many people who buy historic homes want to come in and find what kind of history they can find about their homes. In addition to supporting historical research for family history in the library, we provide a very important resource now, as Polk County adopted a preservation ordinance in 2022. So we are the resource for companies who are seeking approval for land use changes or development, to provide background information on historical significance, importance of sites that might be considered for development, residential development, or frequently, I think weekly, we get an inquiry about towers, cell towers, because those are very prolific these days. So we provide that resource, and those inquiries come to us as a certified local government. These organizations that are doing the research know to contact us, and we provide that research and give them an answer, usually within 2 days, to help them understand the historic significance of the site that they're considering for development.
Well, and I'm so glad that we're doing that as a county, and I'm so glad that that's the work that you're doing here at the History Center, because it's so important to preserve those significant historic sites. Commissioner Troutman, we talked a little bit about the genealogical library for a moment there. I believe you have a personal connection to the genealogical library.
I do. My mother grew up in Lakeland, and actually her mother, so my maternal grandmother, worked in this building.
Wow.
And when the court system was actually here, she worked here on a day-to-day basis. And so when I came to take a tour, probably about 6 months ago, close to a year ago, I just happened to pull out a drawer, and I said, well, let me see if I can find something. And I pulled out the drawer. There was information about Juanita Radford, who was my maternal grandmother, and it's just that connection that I realized that every person in Polk County has a story to be told, and it was a neat experience to find her right there in the folder in the genealogy room.
Wow. Well, Ms. Young, what would you like our residents to know about the Polk History Center?
What we do is tell their story. It's personal. It's fluid, it changes, there's so many different ways to engage with the history, but it is their story. Whether you're a family who has been here for 3 generations or you moved here 3 months ago, it's your story. Whether it's your future story, the fact that you've moved here, and where am I? What happened here? One of the favorite things that I love is driving around, you'll love this, and looking at the names of roads. Mm-hmm. And you'll think, now, where did this name come from? What does Kissingen mean? And it's so much fun when you start discovering those signs are signs of people past. And so the stories, that's what people can find when they come here. Stories past, stories present, and stories future.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like to thank both of you so much for joining me today.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
It was fun. Thank you, Miles.
And I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us. We'll see you next time.